So we are in Husby church, and Sander Booij has been our organ builder in church for the whole journey of 10 18th century Swedish organs. A wonderful, intense week where you have helped us at every place where we came to tune the reeds and maybe adjust a little bit of regulation, adjust the action, regulate a little bit in the organs if there was any kind of problem. And you came along, and I don't know, what kind of expectations did you have coming to Sweden and this organ tradition?
I really had no idea what was coming, so it was a big surprise because there were very nice organs. I especially love the Cahman organs, and they were all different but also a little bit the same, and that was, I really liked that.
Mm-hmm. And what about construction or let's say one criteria that we had when we selected this instrument was that they should be well preserved as a whole. Mm-hmm. That if possible we should have not only as complete as possible pipe work, wind chests, but also action and wind supply system. And when it came to wind supply systems, we could tread almost all the organs.
Yeah, that was very good for the organ sound. We tried with the blower on and then later with tread, but it sounded much better then. So we should always do that, I think. Yeah.
And here we have this fantastic possibility. You can come into Löfsabruck or to Gammalkil and you see the complete wind supply system preserved of the organs.
Yeah, even in Löfsabruck there was old leather from the 18th century on the bellows and on the wind trunks. So that's very special to see, because always they renew all the leather and there it's still preserved. That's quite special.
And when you compare that to Dutch traditions, I would say, because you have different traditions in your country, but similarities or differences?
Yeah, a little bit of similarities. Some things a little bit like Arpsnicker. We have a lot of Arpsnicker organs in the Netherlands. But there are also a lot of things different. When you look at the reeds, for example, the lowest 6 resonators are always made of wood, or maybe the lowest octave. So that's a difference. And the construction of the pipes and the alloy, it was very interesting to compare to the Netherlands. Yeah.
And in the wind supply system, we had opportunity a few times to look at the outlet valves, and there we could see in the Cahman organ, I think, something which is very similar to Schnittke tradition.
Yeah.
But in Löfsabruck there was a different kind of outlet valve with like a sheet of leather.
Yeah, with the leather. Yeah, that was a difference, and I think in Löfsabruck it worked a little bit better with the leather. Yeah, it was a difference.
It's interesting. It's a detail, the outlet valve, which we don't think so much about, but usually they are smaller in the historical organs than in modern organs, and here we found another type, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's a difference. Yeah.
Do you have an idea why?
Well, I have no idea, but it works.
Yeah, that's how we learn.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And what about pipe construction? Well, there's one thing I'm not being an organ builder, but hearing other people talk about it and looking, for example, in the Östgöta tradition with Schiörlin, I think the material in general in the flue pipes, the metal is a little bit thinner.
Yeah, that's right.
Compared to the Stockholm school, where you have a little thicker material.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed anything or reflected on that in terms of sound and so, because you are voicing.
It sounds a little bit different, of course, but not all the voicings were completely original, so we cannot compare it completely, I think. What also wonders me was there were some pipes with the raw side of the metal on the outside and the flat side on the inside. So that's very interesting. It was also with the thin pipes. Maybe they did it on purpose, the flat sides on the inside, to have another sound. But I'm not sure.
It is a difference that we have noticed when we compared North German and Dutch tradition with Swedish, that they seem to do it the other way around.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it has an effect on the sound or...
I think it does a little. Yeah.
And if we think about action, we saw different systems in the organs, didn't we?
We did?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a system with the backfalls, the very long keys, and then the contra keys, and also with the directing connected to the keys upstairs.
Yeah. So the suspended action in the earlier instrument and the instrument, but then the backfalls or the levers kind of system in the Östgöta tradition. Yeah. And what was your impression of the field? Because you are playing. We could hear you play a lot of music, which was wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the suspended keys are more direct because you can feel the valves directly, and you always have with the other action an extra movement in it. But it works because when you have to go from here to there, it's a very long direction, so it works.
And from a technical point of view, because I certainly agree in general that the suspended is more direct and generally gives a more pleasant and balanced feeling in playing. But why did I do this backfall action? From a technical point of view, they must have had a reason. What
I think so too. Yeah. Normally we would have a beam with we call it winkelhaken.
Yeah, winkelhaken, it's a square rail.
Square rail. Yeah, and then another one. But they do it directly to the end and then up. Yeah. So you don't have to make a winkelball.
No, and we see this. It comes in the Östgöta tradition, and then it is like we saw in Schjörlin with the rebuilt Cahman organ. The local organ builder had also used this backfall action. So somehow it becomes a feature of our tradition. In time.
It's part of it. Yeah.
And it does give it a very different feel, right?
It does. Yeah, it feels a little bit heavier, and you miss a little bit feeling of the valves. But yeah, like I said, you spare one winkelbalk, and it's maybe easier to build it like that.
So wind chest construction. Anything particular that you saw there, which of interest or compared to your tradition?
Well, I saw that the valves or the pallets were very wide, and the openings were very narrow. So that interests me why they did it, because when you make very wide pallets, it will play even heavier. So I don't know why they did it. It interests me, so I want to investigate why they did it and try some things out.
And there's one organ in Söderström where we had exactly that, but because of the way the action, it's a smaller instrument and so forth. When you played it, I think you have a feeling that you can almost shadow the wind, like a little vibrato or devil effect.
Maybe that's why they did it. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah.
And then the organ cases and how the organs are organized and so forth. Anything that you found interesting when you looked around?
Yeah, the Cahman organs looks like they came out of the Schnittke tradition, and the Schiörlin organs were totally different. For me, it's typical Swedish. I don't know why. When I see an organ like this, I always say, okay, this is Swedish. But it's the Swedish tradition, so it's completely different, I think.
It's a new style. It is a very interesting. What we know is, of course, that the Linköping tradition, the Östgöta tradition, had its main influences from the Baltic countries and central Germany, central Europe, whereas the Stockholm school, Cahman, came out of the Schnittke tradition, with Hans Heinrich Cahman being an apprentice student journeyman with Fritzsche, and then he came up to Sweden. So there are different roots which you can recognize in the instruments. Yeah. And how would you describe the sound of this instrument? Just something.
Well, they are different, all, but the Cahman organ in Lufstabrück sounds like Schnittke a little bit. And Schiörlin organs are, they were not all the same. They have a little bit more speech in it. And the organ we are today is quite smooth, no speech at all, almost no speech. Very slow reed because of the tongues are very thick. So it's all different, but it's very interesting. Yeah, to compare what they did and why they did it. Yeah.
And now you've only been about a week so in Sweden. And when you hear the sounds of this instrument and you meet Swedish people, is there any connection?
Maybe, yeah. Especially the organ today. It is a very smooth organ, and the Swedish language is for me very, very smooth.
It's interesting because I do think there's a connection, right, between our melody and character of speech and sounds in organs.
Yeah.
Any particular stop that you would like to copy, or a sound that you would like? You couldn't bring any parts of the organs with you.
I wish I could. Well, there are some Vox Humana-like stops, and I really like them. The way the resonators are made, and I want to copy the tapered flutes. They are narrow at the bottom and wide at the top, and even the smallest pipes are made like that. It's very hard. So I think when I'm home, I will try to make one, just to see what happens.
Follow in Pehr Schiörlin's footsteps, making gamba, Swedish gamba stops.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being such a strong member of our community and making this trip possible, and the organs sound as well and in tune.
Yeah, it was a real treat for me, so I loved it very much. Thank you.